Well, good evening. This is Jeff Pixley from Norman, Oklahoma, and I'm sitting here at midnight or approaching midnight on 31st of August of 2025. In a few minutes, I'm going to retire from the Air Force, and I thought it'd be cool to kind of commemorate this moment and talk about what led me to this point. So that's what we're going to do. Just take a few minutes. So why am I here? Why am I talking to you? Why do I even have a Substack? So I'm passionate about public policy. Excuse me. I have what some might consider, my wife might consider, a healthy obsession with politics, and I'm a concerned citizen. And I've been on active duty since 1990. Enlisted straight out of high school back in 1990, and that whole time I've been prevented from speaking out because there's rules, important and defensible rules about military folks being political. If we wind back 15 years ago, I fantasized about retiring from the military and maybe going into stand-up comedy, offering clever takes on the news of the day. In fact, during pilot training once, I had an instructor tell me that I should become a stand-up comedian. At the time, I took that as a compliment, but in hindsight, I think having your pilot training instructor tell you should find another line of work may have been a dig more than a compliment. At any rate, I'm not funny enough to be a stand-up comedian, and the truth is, there's nothing funny about what's happening in our country right now. And there's a lot of things that I want to get after, and being a retired guy is the only one going to be able to do those things. So with about 3 minutes to go until I'm retired, I'm excited about what comes next. So in a couple minutes, I'm going to be free to say and do things that I've not been able to do for my whole career. For example, I can eat an everything bagel, and that may sound crazy, but the truth is the DoD outlawed poppy seeds a few years ago, and I'm a rule follower, so I haven't touched one since then. So I'll be enjoying one of those just after midnight tonight as well. In a few minutes, I'm going to be able to openly discuss partisan politics. I'm going to be allowed to overtly support a candidate or policy position that I choose to support or talk about. I'm also going to have more freedom to criticize state and national leadership. In that area, I'm not entirely unconstrained because there's a rule under Article 88 of the UCMJ, which I'm still covered by, that prevents me from using contemptuous words against the president, the vice president, secretary of defense, and others. That's forbidden for me. And although nobody's ever been charged for such speech as a retiree, honestly, I wouldn't put it past the current administration to make an example out of someone like me. So I'll choose my words carefully on that front, but I'm still going to be a vocal opponent of what I consider to be terrible policies and any unconstitutional conduct. I can also run for office, and I've been thinking about running for office for a long time. The truth is, my retirement timing is based almost entirely on that. So as we get within seconds of the stroke of midnight, I'm going to talk about that. And I am, sorry, I'm going to check my watch again. I'm seconds away from being able to say the following. Here we go. On the 20th of January of this year, 2025, when President Trump was inaugurated, my intent at the time was to complete my command tour at the University of Oklahoma, where I was an ROTC instructor and commander. And my plan was to retire in the summer of 2026. The thought of retiring if he won a second administration had crossed my mind, but a couple things got in the way. First of all, retiring that early would actually cost me money because our monthly retirement income is based on our years of service. Leaving a year early would end up costing me about $300 a month for the rest of my life. So that was a drawback to the idea of retiring earlier. But the truth is, I had also served under President Trump previously, And while those 4 years were pretty terrible, the truth is most of his worst ideas never turned into reality. And given where I worked, I was somewhat isolated from the worst of the nonsense of Trump 1. So a year ago, I honestly believed I'd be able to hold my nose and continue to serve for a year and a half under his second administration before my planned retirement. I wouldn't like it, but I could do it. The third reason I was planning to stick around was for my cadets and my team. As the commander of our detachment, I had the honor of training, guiding, and mentoring future officers of the Air Force, and I considered my contribution to the future of the Air Force in that capacity really important. And it was the day-to-day thing that really drove me to prepare those men and women to lead my beloved Air Force one day. And the idea of sticking around an extra year would give me the opportunity to continue to do that for them. So the big plan was I was going to stay. And then I woke up to the news on February 15th of this year. If you follow the president closely, you'll know that on February 14th, he fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the chief of naval operations, and all of the lawyers that led the three branches of the armed forces. And those firings were a surprise, although there already been a lot of firings in the government. The loss of those particular leaders under those circumstances was a shock to me, and I realized that the assumptions I had made about the legality of the orders I'd be receiving were now called into question. So honestly, I could no longer trust that the orders that were coming down were legitimate. And then I did the election math. If I stuck around until the summer of 2026, I would have no way to play a role in the 2026 midterm elections. And while President Trump wasn't going anywhere for 2026, my House of Representatives member, Tom Cole, he would be seeking re-election, or his seat would be opening, as would one of Oklahoma's two senators, Markwayne Mullin. I believe that both of those members were part of the problem that our country's facing. And I want to play an active role in either changing their behavior or running them out of office. So I punched out. I retired. I pushed the button. And now we are 197 days and about 5 minutes later. And the truth is, time has crawled by during these months. It was a painful period, but it's given me a lot of time to think and research and talk to my neighbors and consult with my family. With every passing day, it has become more clear to me that I have to take an active role. So that's why I'm awake at 12:06 a.m. on my first day of retirement. I have work to do. And I can smell the bagel toasting, and when I sign off, I'm going to enjoy that once forbidden treat. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the day setting up dominoes that are going to have to fall if I'm going to make a real difference here in Oklahoma. So in the next couple of days, you can check back with me here on my Substack or on Blue Sky with more information to be released. A robot on Substack published on a schedule, a long-form essay I wrote called The Oath of Office, and this is that essay is a longer version about what's driven me to do what I'm doing. And I encourage you to take a read at that or listen to it. I did a voiceover of that as well. Along the way, when I need help, my wife Andrea is all in supporting me as she always has. My kids, although spread across the country and living in their own lives, are cheering me on. But the truth is, I'm going to need your help too. I believe our country's future is at stake, and I have a real faith that the people of Oklahoma, from across the political spectrum, are smart enough to realize the mess that we're in. And my hope is that I'll be able to soon convince them to put the incredibly damaging political tribalism that exists in our country aside long enough for us to pull out of the nosedive our country's in. So that's what I wanted to say on September 1st, on Labor Day. I'll sign off, and I look forward to hearing your feedback on Substack or on Blue Sky.